What's up, guys? Welcome back to another weekly review of a Marvel Disney Plus show. And today we are reviewing Hawkeye, the first 2 episodes. So yeah, if you saw some of my previous weekly reviews I did of the other Marvel shows like WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Loki, which was the last one I did, I said after that one I probably wasn't going to do other weekly Marvel show reviews because they take some time on behind, or just take a while to get it takes a lot of time. It's hard work to do to keep up with them. I didn't do these for What If, but then I wasn't going to do them for Hawkeye either, but then I just started thinking about it, and I have stuff I kind of want to talk about, so we're doing weekly reviews for Hawkeye, so here we are. And they didn't drop the first 2 episodes, so that's fortunate. I don't have to talk about both 2 of them at different times. So, I mean, I was going to do separate reviews, but I decided to do both of them at once. I'm also behind a little bit on when these drop on Wednesday and such, so yeah, but I want to talk about them, so yes, here's my review of the first 2 episodes of Hawkeye. So, I was pretty interested and excited for this show, because, Hawkeye is finally getting some spotlight, so that's awesome. Interesting, some new characters, also it's a Christmas-themed show, so, a lot to look forward to with this show, so I was pretty excited for it. What I'll say right now about the first 2 episodes is that the first episode is, I wouldn't say, it was good. I wouldn't say it was the strongest series premiere of any of the MCU shows so far on Disney Plus. I think personally for me the strongest one still so far was Falcon Winter Soldier. I thought that one was the best one. That's of the Marvel show on Disney Plus right now. That's my favorite right now. So that's where I'm holding my standard up to of strongest first episode. And this was a good one. It's not as strong as that one, I'd say. Second episode, I would say maybe a little bit stronger than the first one. I mean, they're both pretty good for different reasons. And this show, immediately what they established that it's a Hawkeye show, so of course it would be about Hawkeye, but of course we're introducing Kate Bishop, who's the second Hawkeye in the comics, his protege. So it's really about both these Hawkeye. They're both the main protagonists. Neither one of them, she's not the secondary protagonist. They're both equal spotlight. Because first episode was there was more of Kate in that episode than there was of Clint. But then the second episode there was almost more of Clint than Kate. I mean, almost equally. I mean, they were on screen together more in that episode, because the first episode didn't meet till the very end. So it's equal balance for a lot of the show. It seems like it's going to be going forward. So I like that, and both of them are kind of main characters because they are both Hawkeye. And, of course, Jeremy Renner is back as Hawkeye. He's still very great. He plays the character very just down to earth and cool and just calm, just like he's the guy who's been through all this ridiculous, insane crap. He's just yeah, I know what to do. I think that's very good. And Haley Steinfeld, she's introduced as Kate Bishop in the show. She does a great job as a character. She really works. I'm with a lot of people saying that was a great casting off the bat for Kate. She is really great in this show, with her humor and her timing and her connection with Clint and Jeremy Renner. She works very well. I like Haley Steinfeld in general. I like a lot of her performances she does, and also her music. I actually generally like listening to a lot of her music when it comes out. So I'm really glad that she's in the MCU, and I think she does a great job so far. So. And like I said, she works very well off of Clint Barton and Jeremy Renner in general. They both work very well together. There's instant chemistry, it clicks just very good. So that's awesome. The show, of course, it's based off the Matt Fraction run of Hawkeye, which I know there's an actual name for that book in the comics. I think it's Born as a Living Weapon or something. But every time I've heard someone talk about that book online, they've always referred to it as the Matt Fraction Hawkeye run. So it's permanently engraved in my head that I just call it the Matt Fraction run of Hawkeye. So, but yeah, so it's based off that comic book run. I've not read the comic book. I plan to probably read it after I watch the show, because I'm not going to start reading it now in case maybe some stuff in the comic might spoil stuff later on in other episodes. I mean, I don't think so, but I mean, possibly. I know there's already some stuff in the show that's similar to the comic, there was the auction in episode 1, which was also in the comic. But in case, if anything else does happen that's based off the comic, don't want to get it spoiled. But I already know there's some things different, the comic, and the show's not a straight-up adaptation of the comic. There are things different from it. I know stuff how, Hawkeye himself, his characterization is very different in the MCU compared to the comics. He's not the same characterization. I think he already knew Kate by that comic. Also, Lucky the Pete's dog, Clint found him instead of Kate, so differences off the bat already, so it's not quite similar, but a lot of it will be taking beats from it from what I understand. So there's all that. What I just love about the show is how grounded it is of a show. We're just in New York, and we're dealing with street gangs and mafia and just underground dealings, just all that stuff. It's the most street level. We've never gotten an MCU project, a film or TV series that's ever been just this street level. the closest thing we got was Spider-Man Homecoming, which is like, was, you know, basically Peter just stopping a guy who was trying to make a quick buck. That was it. Which, like, that's why I think I really like Homecoming. I think it's like, that's like the perfect encapsulation of Spider-Man from the comics, because, like, you know, most time it is just Spider-Man just swinging around New York, and, like, it's just swinging around New York and fighting random people, like, who just, like, want to make a quick buck sometimes, a lot of times. So it's not like, you know, intergalactic or, like, big city-wide threats. Not all the time, at least. But that's why I like that film a lot. I think that's a very great encapsulation of the character. But even then, there's still a lot of stuff in that that's more, like, not much more than just, like, like, grounded level stuff. Of course, your main character, like, runs up the walls and swings around the city, and, like, he fights, like, a scary Michael Keaton in a giant robotic bird suit that almost crashed a giant plane, or did crash a giant plane to Coney Island. So, I mean, it's street level a bit, but not too much. This one is more so street level because it's just, you know, two people who have bow and arrows, that's their powers, versus a bunch of guys in tracksuits. That's it. It's very grounded like that, which I enjoy. And, you know, I like a lot of the show also with Hawkeye and his character, or Clint, is that, you know, really coming off of Endgame, he's very, you know, a lot of stuff has changed. Like I said, he's the most noble guy in the Avengers, so, like, he's very, a lot of stuff has changed for him. Like, he suffers from some PTSD, not too much, but he does, like, suffer, suffer a bit of PTSD. That's not the right word to use, I don't know. But, like, with Natasha and her death, like, he still kind of is, like, sad about her gone, because, like, he starts, like, zoning out when he sees the actress playing her in the, like, musical in the first episode. And, you know, we also see, like, he's kind of like, you know, I'm not sure what the exact, either, I'm thinking that, because, you know, while he's here in New York with his kids for Christmas, like, they're at dinner, and then the waiter says, it's on the house, like, and he insists on paying, but they're like, no, you saved our city, no, don't need to pay, and so you're awesome. So, I kind of took that as, like, maybe, from the way the episode goes, because this connects to Ronan a bit, because how maybe he doesn't want to be considered, or doesn't believe he should be looked up as a hero because of what he did as Ronin, or that, or I've heard other people say that, you know, because he's such a more down-to-earth guy, more so than all the others, like, he's not, like, so into the whole Avenger, I mean, he is, but he's not, like, so, like completely committed into the actual being a superhero where he's cautioned and such, like Black Widow more so she is, but he's not quite like that, so, I mean, it could be either one, so especially you see that during, when he's at the LARPing event in episode 2, where he kind of just looks around like, okay, like, which I watched a video from Mr. Sunday Movies, who did a breakdown of the episode. They actually point out something in the episode, which I thought, actually, yeah, that's good, because it would have been so easy to have, like, Clint just completely make fun and just, like gawk at the whole thing, like, the hell are these people doing, like idiots. Like, it would have been so easy to do that, of these people just LARPing, but, like, Marvel is aware of their audience is, like, people who are into superheroes, and, like, a lot of these guys and girls, like, all dressed up in these costumes for Comic-Con and such. Hell, I've done my fair share on the channel. You can find a bunch of videos of me in, like superhero costumes for stuff, so, like, I've done my fair share of that kind of stuff. So, like, he made a good point saying how it's good they don't, like, make any kind of jokes, heavy jokes at least on that, saying, because their audience, a lot of them is like that, so, which I like that. You know, and also, Clint, he's also losing his hearing now a bit, which he's established it's from one of, a contribution of probably all of them, of a lot of the events he's gone through, like the Battle of New York, or fighting, like, Hydra, or the Ultron bots, or, of course, Thanos destroying the Avengers compound, like, a combination of these things, like, just kind of lost his hearing. I kind of thought, because that was also in the comics, I kind of thought that there was some bigger thing behind that, but then I was just like, nah, because he's a regular dude, like, he just lost his hearing slowly from all those insane explosions and such, which I'm like, yeah, that makes sense, actually. Which makes me wonder, what about the other regular people in the Avengers? Because, like, you know, like, Iron Man's got a suit of armor, and Thor's a god, and, like, Cap, I guess, has a super soldier abilities, but, like, Black Widow's a normal person. How does her ears never got screwed up like that? Or Falcon? Like, how do these other regular people, like, are fine with their ears not getting just shot out like that at some point? Like, it reminds me a bit of The Walking Dead, how there's a theory on that show where people say that the reason why almost half the time nobody hears a walker come up behind them is because half the characters are almost deaf because they keep firing these, like, loud guns right by their heads without protective ear headphones. So, that's interesting. I like that. It's a very simple thing. Of course, also the Rogers musical was fantastic, amazingly. Like, cringy amazing in the best way. You saw Clint just looking at it like, what the hell? I like how, like, it is a big production, at least this is, but they have the most, like, dollar store costume. Like, the guy playing the Hulk is wearing a hoodie, Whereas the guys on the street in New York have much better looking costumes than this big production does. So, yeah, like I would definitely want to see, like, I mean, I probably wouldn't want to pay for this kind of show because it's like not well looking made, because like I said, dollar bin costume basically, but like, I wouldn't mind if like Disney Plus did a thing like with Hamilton, like record this show and just post it, like, I'd be good with that. Like, I think that'd be kind of fun, so that'd be cool. You know, in the show, what's another thing else to say? We also have our villains of the show. We have like the Tracksuit Mafia currently, and also potentially, let's see, Jack, I think his last name was Dalton. Like, you know, like Kate's like new father-in-law. He's gonna get married her mom, and he's a character from the comics, one of the swordsmen who the swordsman in the comics trained Hawkeye, as I understand, but that's definitely not gonna be in this case here. So and I'm wondering, he seems to be, I'm not sure if he is the main villain. He probably is one of them. I'm not quite sure who's supposed to be the main villain, but you know, they're kind of already teasing a mystery about who killed like his father, of course. But they're making it pretty apparent that it's him. They haven't straight out said, but like it seems kind of obvious, which I'm kind of like, I'm just guessing they're just gonna say, yeah, I killed him. Maybe, I mean, I could be wrong, but like, I mean, every Disney Plus show has kind of done a thing where it's like mystery villain behind some things, like WandaVision, oh, Agatha all along, or like Falcon Winter Soldier was the power broker, then Loki was the He Who Remains. So like, at a certain point I started thinking after Loki, I'm like, is every show gonna have like a mystery, who's did it, who's behind it all, and we're gonna reveal, oh, it was you, the one we theorize all the time, which like, I'm not saying that's a major complaints, because I mean shows a lot of times do that, but like, all three of the shows prior did that same thing, so I'm wondering like if they're just gonna straight up be like tease it a bit, but they're like, nah, it's him, because they're making it pretty apparent it's him. I could be wrong again, like I said, but maybe it's him, so I don't know, I'm not sure what they're quite doing. The Tracksuit Mafia, they're actually, if they're not the main villains, they're at least, like, side villains who are just going to cause distraction and a ruckus to Clint and Kate. You know, we saw them crash the underground auction and such, and they stole a Avengers watch. Apparently there's a bunch of stuff that, you know, criminals and mafia people recovered from the Avengers compound after it went boom. One of them was this watch, which they don't really specify what it just said watch. They don't say what exactly is special about it. My guess is the only thing I could think of about what this watch could be is that it could be maybe like that, like Iron Man repulsor gauntlet watch that Tony had in Civil War, which I'm at first kind of like, well, maybe why would it be that? Like, why would they go after just this one small arc repulsor blaster thing instead of going after maybe like one of the armor? Because I'm sure like Tony had nanotech by that point, so he probably has a bunch of armor laying around that he could have gotten. But I started thinking like, well, I guess because Stark Tech is probably very valuable to get and powerful to use. And then I started thinking also, if that is that watch, then maybe it could be a tease that could set up and lead into Armor Wars, as we have War Machine, where that shows about how, you know, Tony's tech starts getting out of hand, and like a bunch of criminals get a hold of it and such, and Rhodey's gotta go stop it. So if that is that watch, that could be an interesting tease and set up there. You know, we also have other characters that are interested in the show. I'm kind of bouncing all over the place here, just kind of saying general things. Lucky the Pizza Dog, character from the comics as well. You know, and he's I'm interested in seeing what they do with the dogs. I understand there's a issue from the comics where literally they follow the perspective of Lucky, like just the whole time. And I thought, I'm kind of hopeful they do an episode kind of like that. I mean, I'm not quite sure hopeful they will, but I think it'd be kind of cool. Because if it did that, it would remind me of an episode of Supernatural in their 11th season where they had an episode where the entire perspective was shown from their car, the Winchester's car in that show. Because the car was always kind of like the quintessential third character of the show, so like, to have a whole episode from that car's perspective. So, it'd be kind of something like that, and that was a really good episode, so if they did a dog episode, that'd be awesome. So, you know, and also he's missing an eye in the show, which is based off his origin in the comics where he got hit by a car, from what I understand. They're definitely not going to do that in the show, because it's Disney, they're not going to let that happen. We get to see the dog get kicked once, so I'm like, still kind of surprised they let that slide at all, that any kind of dog harm was caused. So, yeah, but whatever. Well, whatever. It's not. Don't hurt dogs, people. You sickos. But yeah, there's other something I got confused by a bit in these episodes. Like the first episode, I got confused by because they were selling off like Ronin's costume and sword at the underground mafia thing, and I was kind of like, at first I was like, all right, okay, I guess you recovered that from the compound as well. But I was like, where did they recover this? Because Clint was wearing the costume and using the sword during the movies, so like, when would he have recovered? Like, I doubt he would have just dropped it in the compound's rubble, like, whatever. Like, I don't see many other people talk about this. I'm like, so where exactly did they get it from? I really doubt Clint just ditched it in a pile of rubble like that. So, I mean, I doubt they're gonna explain it. So I don't know. It's also weird that Clint's very much like has to go after the suit, even after it was like caught in a burning building. A firefighter took it, and he's like getting pissed because like he has to go get it and such. And I'm surprised it survived the burn, but like I guess like, I was kind of like, well, maybe if more people keep using it, more people come after them, and it could cause trouble. So I get that because there's a lot of enemies he made as the Ronins and such. Also, this show also is the first time they've actually officially called, you know, like Clint Ronin, like named him Ronin. Also, have been calling him Hawkeye a lot more now. You know, which, you know, like they never called him Ronin in Endgame. Like, but I mean, us as comic fans knew he was Ronin, but like, of course, they never referred to him as that. But they almost never call him Hawkeye like, at all. They never call him Hawkeye. Like, at most, like Eric Selvig referred to him as the Hawk in the first Avengers. And then in Endgame, he referred to Lila, his daughter, as like Hawkeye. So that was the first time Hawkeye's name was ever said when he was referring to his daughter. But now they're calling him Hawkeye a lot. So I guess they're trying to retcon saying, yeah, his name was always Hawkeye, just it was never called that before for some reason. I don't know. So interesting. When I was watching, I actually watched the Marvel Legends episode about Hawkeye before the show, just to give my brother a refresher on the character of Hawkeye. And I think there's a part during the first Avengers where they redub one of Black Widow's audio lines where she says Hawkeye, and I don't think she ever called Hawkeye in that film. So I guess they're trying to like rectify, saying, okay, he's been called Hawkeye since the very beginning. So, but that's cool. Hey, so I'm cutting this part into the video. I forgot to record this part when I recorded like the rest of the video, so I'm going to say it now. I just forgot to talk about this stuff. Two other things I wanted to briefly talk about. Of course, when Clint goes to the bathroom after watching the Rogers musical, you know, sees a thing on the bathroom stall saying "Thanos was right," which like it's a carryover from the Falcon Winter Soldier show, where like of course the Flag Smasher kind of talk about how the world was better when like half the population was gone. It was better that way and such. So, like I do like how they're still carrying over bits that concept in like that show, how some people believe that he kind of was right, so I do find that a little interesting. So that was cool. Nothing else I want to mention that just kind of confused me about, which was the timeline of the show. I mean, we know it takes place in December. It's Christmas. Like it's like 6 days before Christmas. Actually, they said, which like it's 6-episode show. Each episode was taking place at least each across those 6 days of Christmas. So yeah, perfectly sets up to it. But of course, we don't really know what year to take place in. And the creator of the show, or the producer, the director of the show, yeah, that's who it was. He said that this takes place like 2 years after Endgame, which would make it 2025. Which I'm like, I don't know. Like that seems a bit like, why is it 2 years? I don't know. I don't buy it because like I knew like when the show was coming out, I was thinking, okay, which Christmas could it be? Because like I knew it couldn't be the Christmas right after everyone came back, because based off what we know, because Spider-Man Far From Home like took place, because we know from that film they were forced to retake that school year up until, of course, once it ended, which that film took place right at the end of, you know, at the end of the school year, so it was like June or July. And based off that fact and how they had to retake that year, it was like around, I don't know, September or October or something when like Endgame happened, when they all came back. So I knew it couldn't have been like Christmas of 2023, because I doubt the world, there's no way the world would have been like that back together by that point. Plus that musical would have taken much longer to make, so it would have made the most sense for it to take place like in the Christmas of 2024. That made, you know, the most sense. But now they're saying Christmas 2025, I'm like, that's a huge gap we're jumping then in time, because like, I mean, Phase 4's whole timeline so far has been kind of like all over the place, not exactly conclusive about exactly where they take place. Some of them haven't, like directors and producers have commented on saying where they all take place, like we know where Far From Home takes place. You know, like Black Widow, we know it takes place like only not long after Civil War. And like other stuff, but they said WandaVision's like only a week or so after Endgame. Falcon Winter Soldier's like 6 months after Endgame. Eternals, I think Chloe Zhao said it's like around the same time as Falcon Winter Soldier. And Shang-Chi's like, I think some around Far From Home also. I can't be quite sure. I think it's like maybe before or after it. We know Hawkeye's after Shang-Chi from what Disney Plus says. But yeah, I mean, a lot of this stuff's not been like quite conclusive about where exactly it says it takes place in the timeline. So, I mean, until in the show they actually show an actual date in the show saying Christmas of 2025. Because like I remember set photos saying like New Year 2025. So I thought that means okay, so show will be in Christmas 2024, and of course we're going to we'll be going into the New Year of 2025. But if it's gonna be set in 2025 of Christmas, I'm like okay. So I don't know. Until like actually, for the time being, I'm gonna like keep in my head like that it's 2024 Christmas because it makes the most sense that way to me. But until like in the show they show an actual like date saying like 2025 that Christmas, then I'll have to accept it as fact. I just find that you jumped to like that year like sounds very random and just kind of odd to me. Just I don't know, doesn't quite make sense. So that's my thought on that. But also addition of like other characters, like we also had the return of his family, and that's cool. We saw this kid. I'm not sure if they're gonna be in every episode, probably not, or we're gonna see him again. I'm sure we will not, maybe not till the end. We also had the return of Clint's wife, which a lot of us thought theorized she might not be in it, like she could be divorced, could be seen in the trailer, which that's not the case. What's interesting though is that I think she knows that Clint was Ronin. The kids don't know, and the mafia doesn't know. So I guess like it's weird. I guess the mafia makes sense that they don't know. I guess he doesn't want to tell his kids that he became this like much more insane kind of character. I guess he told his wife to not keep secrets from her specifically or something. I don't know. It was weird. In Endgame, Rhodey was aware. They were aware that he was this kind of like ninja guy going around. See, like because he was talking to Nat and said how it found some cartel guys, definitely Barton. So like I don't know. That was very odd. I'm not sure what was with that. I'm not sure who. Like who knows? I don't know who all knows about him being Ronin or not. The Avengers do, but some people don't. Whatever. Another thing I also want to say is I like also the kind of like I dig the kind of like connection or like relation that Kate has with her mom. A lot of it like actually with Kate Nipser reminds me just because of Taylor Steinfeld, it reminds me of actually a bit of the movie she did, The Edge of 17, which I watched only about a few months back, where that movie is very similar. She also couldn't get along with her mom, and this is also she can't get along with her mom here. She also wears at one point she's asked by her mom when she comes to this charity event with her to wear this like fancy red dress she got her, but then Kate ends up wearing this black button up, straight up black button up shirt, and looks like a waiter apparently. She basically dressed up like John Wick, basically like that. And I don't know, it kind of reminded me a bit of also her character Nadine, I think her name was in that movie. Kind of reminded me a bit of that, so I think that was cool. And we meet Echo, who's a deaf character who, from my understanding, she's an anti-hero in the comics, who she's coming after Clint for, we don't really know why, we'll have to wait for episode 3 about that. But she's getting a spin-off show, we learned about that back at Disney Plus Day, there were rumors for months back, but we officially know she's getting a spin-off show, so we know she's going to be fine by the end of the show. But one thing, and then you don't know this about Echo, in the comics she has heavy ties to the Kingpin and Daredevil. Like, the Kingpin in particular trained her, and I think even had some involvement with her parents' death, and I think even Daredevil trained her later on. And so, which is why there's a lot of heavy speculation that the Kingpin might show up in the show, played once again by Vincent D'Onofrio from the Netflix show. I mean, Kingpin was also in the comics, so I mean, all of it makes sense that happens. Plus, also the heavy speculation that Charlie Cox might reprise his role as Matt Murdock in No Way Home. I feel like it's very possible that Kingpin might be in this. Vincent D'Onofrio's been kind of very coy about being questioned about being in the show, and he's been liking and unliking tweets about articles related to his return. So I feel like it's very certain he'll probably be in the show. If he shows up, I'm not kidding you. When I say I'll lose my shit, I will lose my shit. Because Daredevil on Netflix was one of my favorite TV shows, top 5 at least. I love that show, love the stories, the characters, the fight scenes, the music, just a lot of it is so good. So I'll go insane if we see D'Onofrio and Cox all back as Daredevil and Kingpin. That'd be amazing. So I'll love seeing Daredevil, Kingpin in the show to add more to the gritty, more grounded reality stuff in New York. That would all just be awesome. So yeah. I don't know what else. We're also supposed to expect to see Yelena Belova, Black Widow's sister from Black Widow, show up in the show at some point to come after Clint because Val told her or lied to her saying, he's the reason she died. He's responsible for her death, which is not true. So, and we know she's gonna be in the show. Florence Pugh, she confirmed it. She's been posting stuff on her Twitter and Instagram about how she's about Hawkeye. So we know she'll be in it at some point. So it's just a matter of time of when. I don't know. Yeah, what else can I say? if I go back quickly to Laura, like Clint's wife, I do like how this dynamic that you have, where like she's aware of like tactics he can do. Like he actually does like Natasha's tactic from the first Avengers, where she gets captured, but then that's what she wanted to have happen, so he can like beat up her target and such. I like that how they're kind of, there's just like, she's like not too mad, it seems, about him going on a superhero mission thing right now. So, I mean, a problem that they've been kind of plaguing Hawkeye a bit since she showed up. I don't have a problem with him having a wife and kids at all. I think that's great for his character. But, I mean, once he showed up in Age of Ultron, he was like, alright, I'm going to do this one last thing, and I'm done. But then immediately Civil War was kind of the next year when we knew he was in it, and it was like, alright, I guess I'm not done. And then Avengers was coming out a few years later, and like he was in that again. I mean, of course, Thanos snap happened, he went kind of like, went the grieving mode, but still, like, you know, they're always kind of finding ways, like, okay, we gotta get this guy out of retirement, like, come on. So, I mean, I'm hoping, like, going forward, that, because I mean, they're saying that they want to keep him around still, so, like, hopefully going forward they find a better balance of him being, you know, family and hero, because it's always awkward how, like, there were memes about this going around how he, like, just like he, okay, I'm retired, okay, now I'm back, okay, well, this last time, okay, no, sorry, I'm actually doing it again. Okay, I'm sorry, honey, I'm doing it again. Like, Clint, be honest here. Like, alright, I'm doing 2 more, actually. So it's that kind of thing. So I'm hoping there's a better balance going forward if Jeremy Renner sticks around as Hawkeye. What else? I guess the last thing I want to mention, I find it funny how Ant-Man's in the Avengers musical. Because I guess it's part of the joke how people are saying, oh, Ant-Man, yo, he's actually been in every film, but you couldn't see him. So, but yeah. It kind of reminds me a bit of those Ant-Man posters they made back when the film was coming out. It was him, like, just small size on, like, on some of the original Avengers, like, on their shoulders and weapons. Yeah. Who remembers that marketing for the first Ant-Man film? It was kind of wild, right? Like, their first teaser was, like this small. Like, it was, like, so small. Like, there was a poster, like, it looked like this. And, like, also that weird ant, like, song thing they did. It was wild marketing they did for that film. Yeah, overall, I say I enjoyed this show a lot. If I had to rank the 2 episodes, episode 1, 7 out of 10, it was a good one. Episode 2, a good one as well. I'd say maybe, like, higher a bit, like 8, maybe. Yeah, I mean, I like both the episodes overall, though. They were both pretty good. I like seeing this world, this more, like, grounded world in the MCU, and seeing these characters. You know, it was all very good. I enjoyed it. Like I mentioned, I also quite enjoyed, like, I like seeing Kate perspective of the Battle of New York back in 2012. That was cool. And the minute they showed, you know, the Battle of New York, the minute they showed 2012, I'm like, okay, they're in New York, it's 2012, more than likely, Avengers, Battle of the Chitauri, like, and I was right, so yeah. Oh yeah, that's my thoughts on episodes 1 and 2 of Hawkeye. This is a longer review, because I was talking about 2 things at once, so yeah. Oh, so hopefully it'll be easier going forward to talk about 1 episode each a week. So yeah, thank you all for watching. Tell me what you thought down below of Hawkeye's episodes 1 and 2. And I'll see you guys later for next week's episode of Hawkeye. So yeah, let's keep going forward into the Christmas spirits with this. I don't know how to end this episode review. Yeah, let's just keep enjoying the holiday spirits of Hawkeye and Kate for next week's episode. I don't know how to end this. Whatever. All right. Thank you all for watching. Let me know what you thought down below, and I'll see you guys for next week's episode. So yeah, see you guys later. Goodbye. Hey, if you like that video, guess what? YouTube put out a video just for you on the left. Or, if you want to take my advice, watch the most recent video on the right. Thanks for watching.